Is desk stability important to you, but you're not quite sure what to look for when shopping for your new standing desk? Well, stick around and I'll explain the main causes of desk instability and how you can go ahead and make sure to avoid the dreaded standing desk wobble. Hi, I'm Camille Knighton from RightAngle Products. In the midst of searching for a standing desk, stability should be one of your primary concerns. That notorious wobble is probably one of the biggest complaints that people have after purchasing a sit-to-stand desk. Understanding the causes of desk instability will help to make sure that you make an informed decision before spending your money. So in today's video, you are going to learn about the top 3 causes of standing desk wobble and how you can make sure to avoid it. So first, where does instability stem from? Well, having a sturdy work surface will help to prevent distractions and frustration, meaning that you're going to have an overall increased sense of productivity. I'm sure almost all of us have experienced a time where you're sitting at a restaurant, at a table, and you notice that it's wiggling back and forth. And I don't know about you, but I find that incredibly frustrating. It can be really distracting and honestly make it difficult for me to focus on enjoying my meal. Well, that same thing can actually happen when you're also using a standing desk. Unstable standing desks will shift and move while you're doing your regular work, especially when your desk is at standing height. I notice that if I'm typing on my keyboard, my monitor arms will start to bounce a little and the desktop will move. That movement can be really distracting and makes it difficult to be productive. I do have some good news for you though. You don't have to suffer from standing desk wobble. So let's start with reason number 1, an unstable base configuration. Now, a table's stability is rooted in its design. Height adjustable desks have 2 basic configurations or shapes. The first one is going to be an upside down U and the other uses a cross support. Let's first go over the upside down U shape. Now, the support provided for this particular standing desk design comes from the brace that runs underneath the work surface and connects to the top of both legs. This is what creates that upside down U. That under work surface support is the only way of preventing wobble for this configuration. Think of a flagpole in the wind. At the bottom, there is not going to be much movement, but at the top, you'll see that the pole sways back and forth. So the farther that the under work surface support bracket gets from the floor and the longer that the legs become, the more likely the legs will give and want to tilt one way or the other. Some manufacturers have added little wedges in the corners to help decrease the lateral movement, which it can help a little bit, but it doesn't completely solve the stability issue. Additionally, a unique quality of the U-style design is that the under work surface cross brace expands. This expansion means one brace extends to fit multiple work surface sizes. Now let's go over the second configuration, the cross support design. Now this design helps to eliminate instability. You can see that this style has a cross brace attached to the lower, non-moving leg columns, which creates the shape of a box underneath the work surface. The cross support, although rectangular, works the same as an X brace on a bridge or building. To better explain, let's walk through how an X brace works. We're first going to start with 2 metal poles positioned like table legs. Then we have one piece of metal that will run across the top, bolted on both of the vertical metal poles, here and here, and another piece running along the bottom, bolted here and here. If I were to push on one side, the top of this box will shift over. There's nothing to hold the top of that box in place. For the next step, let's add another piece of material. It's first bolted to one corner of the box and then bolted in the opposing corner. Now, when we push on the side of the box, this part here pushes back, acting as an opposing force. And if we push on the other side, now this part pushes back. The box has been turned into 2 triangle shapes, making it stronger and eliminating any movement. To make it even stronger, we will add another piece of material, bolting it to the other 2 corners. So how does this relate to a cross support? On a standing desk, you will have 2 legs here, and the rectangular cross support is going across each leg. If we were to attach the cross support using 1 bolt on each leg, the cross support wouldn't be very effective. Instead, almost all manufacturers engineer their cross supports using 2 bolts for each leg. Now, even though you can't see it because the support is one singular unit, the bolt placement is creating that X shape like we had just described. That invisible X on the cross support is what keeps the desk's legs from shifting, eliminating that lateral movement and creating a wobble-free desk at any height position. Lastly, unlike the U-style, a cross support is sized specifically to correlate with the size of the desk's work surface. Reason number 2 for standing desk wobble comes from column instability. The second source of standing desk wobble comes from the leg column instability. There are 2 main factors that influence column stability: column overlap and glide bearings. For those who are unfamiliar, a column is one of the main components of a desk leg and base. A standing desk column includes either 2 or 3 telescoping tubes. The telescoping tubes slide in and out of each other so the desk column can extend from a sitting height to a standing height. This leads us directly to the issue of column overlap. For example, let's look at a standing desk with 2 telescoping tubes. Let's say that both the inner and outer tube are 20 inches long, and when it's adjusted to its highest standing position, the inner tube will slide out 15 inches. This leaves 5 inches still sitting within the inside of that outer tube. That extra 5 inches is the column overlap. The amount of column overlap significantly influences the desk's stability. As overlap begins to decrease, the table becomes more susceptible to wobble. In our opinion, those 5 inches are the least amount of overlap needed to consider a column sturdy. Now this is going to take us to the next factor that influences the column stability: glide bearings. All height adjustable tables have glide bearings that are located between the telescoping tubes inside the leg column. Glides are helpful in a few ways. It helps the tubes move easily, move smoothly, and when properly fitted, they help to maintain stability within that column, especially as the amount of column overlap begins to decrease. Glides come in a variety of sizes, and in order for them to reach their full effectiveness, they need to be properly fitted. Ideally, each column would use custom-fit glides. See, not all telescoping tubes will fit the same way, and can slightly vary in size, which can change the gap measurement between the inner and outer tube. This is what we call the tube size tolerance. The only way to truly account for tube size tolerance and have a proper fit is by custom fitting each glide, as opposed to standardizing on one particular size. As the amount of column overlap decreases, it becomes even more important to correctly fit the glide bearings. The glide bearings help maintain stability within the column when the table gets closer to its highest position. Now, with this general understanding of column overlap and glide bearings, I want to explain how those problems affect a two-stage leg column. In a single stage, one tube nests within the other, and there is potential for movement between that single pair of tubes. However, a two-stage leg column uses 3 tubes nested together. So now there is potential for movement between 2 pairs of leg columns: the first tube and the second tube, and then the second tube and the third tube. The more tubes that are used within the column, the higher the chances there are of movement. That makes it even more crucial to have proper fitting glide bearings. Reason for standing desk wobble number 3, assembly mistakes. How someone assembles their standing desk directly impacts the level of overall desk stability. Improper assembly can cause both side-to-side wobble and front-to-back rocking. So it's important that the assembly process is done correctly and not rushed. Assembly mistake number 1 is rushing through the process. Going too fast increases the likelihood that you make a mistake, and that can affect overall stability. Make sure to thoroughly read the instructions and take pauses when necessary. Assembly mistake number 2 is not using a thread locking material and a star lock washer when using bolts to attach various desk components. A thread locker is an adhesive used to help lock and seal threaded fasteners, such as screws or bolts. When applied directly to a fastener's threads, the adhesive helps to bind materials together and prevent future wiggle or looseness within the table base. Now, not all manufacturers will offer thread locker material with their screws, but your local hardware store and various online retailers will have that thread locker available for you. Star lock washers, on the other hand, have external teeth that bite into the material it sits between to help create a tight grip and prevent them from shifting. When a bolt is fully tightened, the washer's teeth will bite into the bolt's head and the metal component we're attaching to it. This helps to prevent the bolt from rotating over time. Now that there's a significantly less chance the bolt will shift with the help of that lock washer, your desk will be much more sturdy. The third assembly mistake is not properly tightening each screw and bolt. This can be caused by either using the incorrect tools during the assembly or not taking that few extra minutes to go over each bolt to recheck for security. A few poorly tightened screws and bolts can have a dramatic impact on the desk stability. Lastly, check that the glides on the underside of the desk feet are adjusted properly. This step is often overlooked during the assembly process. Although those feet glides are small in size, they can have a large impact on whether or not your desk wobbles. With this new understanding of what causes standing desk wobble, you now know what to look for in your new standing desk and how you can choose the one that's going to provide you with more stability. I hope this video is able to help you find a stable, wobble-free standing desk. If you have any other questions on the topic, feel free to reach out to our team at info@raproducts.com. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on all things office furniture. Thanks for watching.